I'm Chris Lopez from Kettlebell One of the more frequent questions that I get is why kettlebell training? Why bother? Why can't I just go to the gym? Can I do the same thing with the dumbbell? The answer simply is kettlebell training is there for simplicity. I train the kettlebells because it's simple. It is adaptable to my lifestyle and adaptable to my schedule. I've got a set of kettlebells at home. I can train at home and get my workout done in anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 minutes tops. No more than that. I train 3 times a week and I can maintain a relatively lean physique and a relatively strong physique just by training with a couple of kettlebells. Now, kettlebells are unique in their design in that they look like a cannonball with a handle on it. This is a 16-kilogram kettlebell right here. Now, one of the advantages to training with a kettlebell as opposed to a dumbbell is joint alignment. So if you take a dumbbell and you hold it over your head, you'll see that the weight distribution is relatively even. If you take a kettlebell and hold it over your head, it kind of forces your shoulder into a point of alignment where you've got to really try to maintain complete vertical in order for you to balance that kettlebell up there. Now that's great for shoulder stability, that's great for aligning all the joints from your wrist all the way down to your ankle, and it's great for maintaining mobility, usually in your upper back and in your shoulders. Now, kettlebell training, as I mentioned before, is all about simplicity. It's about learning basic movements and getting the results from there. A lot of people say kettlebell training is the way of the future, and I tend to disagree. I think it's more about going back to basics and going back to what works. So another big question that I get on the blog is, what size of kettlebell do I start with? So for women, ideally, I would say start with an 8-kilogram kettlebell, which is about this size right here. A perfect example would be my wife. My wife started with a 4-kilogram kettlebell and graduated to an 8 in about 1 to 2 weeks. So 4 kilogram may be a little light, and if you want to spend money buying a 4-kilogram kettlebell, you may end up wasting your money once you get into more ballistic movements. So ideally, I would say it's better to start with an 8 and kind of work your way up from there. Eventually, women, what you want to do is get up to a 12-kilogram kettlebell, which is about this size right here, and this has a blue plastic coating on it so that it doesn't bang up against the floor. If it hits the floor, then it won't cause too much damage. For men, I would say start off with the 12-kilogram kettlebell and then eventually move into a 16, which is about this size right here. You can see it's a little bit bigger than the 12. Do you want to go heavier than a 16? Eventually, yeah, when you start to get more comfortable with the movements like get-ups and snatches and that kind of stuff, and you start to learn your hip drive a little bit better, then you can get up to a 20, a 24, and eventually even up to like the 30s and 40-kilogram kettlebells. But start with a 16, and that would be the ideal place for you to do a lot of your workouts before you start getting more advanced with kettlebell training. I'm Chris Lopez from Kettlebell Workouts.com, and that's why we train with kettlebells.